How is it going, everyone? Welcome to the video series on interesting topics of modern Python programming, and in this particular video we are going to look into Python Decorators, which is used for adding prefix and suffix additional functionalities in your function and some of the interesting applications of the same. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. So what is the meaning of a decorator? Think about a gift which you want to send to someone. Okay, and before sending any gift, we decorate the gift. We do not just send the gift, right? We wrap it in a wrapping paper, write names, insert some flowers or something like that. What it does, it decorates your gift. Now, irrespective of the fact how you decorate your gift, it doesn't changes the functionality of the gift itself. Okay, the same logic is applicable to Python decorators. It is meant for decorating your functions, but it is in no way changes the functionality of your function. So this is something to keep in mind while talking about decorators. And to properly understand the decorator, let's see a small function called greeting. You can see this function over here, and here what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to greet people saying that a very good morning to all of you. And again, if I go ahead and call this function, no surprise, this will be the output. Let's create another function to communicate some good news, like somebody is promoted. Okay, so good news is that congrats Mr. XYZ, you are promoted. And if I call this function, no surprise, this is what that is going to happen. Now these functions, both greetings and good news, are raw functions and kind of blunt. It just says that without any welcome message and thank you message. So what if I have already created a function like this, and there are 10, 20, 30, even hundreds of functions like this, and I do not want to go ahead and write welcome to my company, you are promoted, thank you, a very good morning to you, then thank you, something like that in each and every function. I want to do it in a relatively cheaper way where I can create those greetings in one particular place and apply it to all the functions. This is also useful. For example, let's assume that going forward the company name changes. You would not like to go ahead and change hundreds of functions and do search replace. Okay, so these kind of things we can do with decorator. We can add some prefix as well as suffix using decorators. Let's see how. So a decorator is nothing but a function. It's just a function which takes a function as well as returns a function. Decorator is a function which takes function as an input and returns the function as an output to the decorator called. So here is how we are going to define a decorator. So I have defined my decorator. It is taking a function and I'm creating an inner function, and I'm returning that inner function as a result of someone calling my decorator. So this is the syntax of decorator. Remember, decorator takes a function, returns a function, and the function which it returns actually runs the function which you passed. Okay, so all these things happens behind the scene. We don't need to do anything. Okay, we just need to call the decorator and it will take care of all the complexities of how to call it. So in this particular decorator, the inner function I have written welcome to my company, and I am calling the function which is coming as part of parameter, and after that I am saying thank you, and this is returned. Okay, so now to make sure that the function uses that decorator, we need to say @ the decorator name on top of the function. Remember something, when you create a class method in your Python class, you give a decorator, right? @class method, that's also a decorator. This is also a decorator. So I have created this greeting function with a decorator. Now if I go ahead and call greeting function, the prefix and suffix will be called welcome to the company, thank you. Similarly, if we go ahead and add the decorator to good news, and if I go ahead and call good news, same thing will happen. Now you can see that how easy it is to extend the functionality and add some prefix and suffix to your functions using decorators. Now these two functions, greetings and good news, they don't take any parameters. What if functions taking parameter? How the decorator will come into picture? Because decorator takes function as an argument. What about function arguments? Well, there is a way to do it. We have to use args and quarks. If you are not aware of args and quarks, I will highly recommend you to see my video on args and quarks. You can see a card over here. Okay, so here is how my decorator function change. The definition will not change. I'll keep on taking function, but wrapper I will use args and quarks, star args and star star quarks, and I will call the function with args and quarks. Okay, so this will make sure that even if our function is taking no input or hundreds of input, it will take care of it. So in here, if I just change my good news function by taking the name of the person being promoted and using that with decorator, and if I go ahead and call this function with Dutch, it will say welcome, congrats Mr. Dutch, you are being promoted. Or ABC, it will say congrats Mr. ABC, you are promoted. Okay, so this is how you write decorators for functions which takes a parameter. So same decorator can also be used with greetings or even with the function which are not taking any parameter. For example, if I just remove the name and I just go back to again XYZ, and if I go ahead and call this good news with the new decorator, I'll still get the same output. I do not need to change my decorator like this. So if your decorator can be used with functions with parameters, this is the syntax to use. Okay. Now, so far we talked about, functions taking parameters. What if functions returning some value? How we will take care of it in decorators, because in decorator we return a function. Well, this is how you change your decorator function. In the wrapper function, in the inner function, you are gonna return the value or the output of the function call. So here, what I did is that I took the output of function in val and I am returning val. I could have directly said return function. That is also okay. So let me use this particular decorator with some function which takes parameter as well as returns parameters. So I'll go ahead and say sum 1020. It will say calling function dot underscore underscore name underscore underscore will give you the name of the function, and the value is what that will be returned. Okay, so if your decorator is supposed to take parameters as well as return parameters, this should be your syntax. Okay, now let's talk about some of the awesome things we can do. For example, how much time a function takes. Okay, so for that, let me import time, and I have changed the decorator in such a way where I am taking start time, end time, and I am printing time taken by this particular function. Okay, so this is called time decorator, and I am using this time decorator in a simple function which sleeps for 1 second. Fine, and if I call this function, you can see that time taken is printed. So the good thing with this particular decorator is that you can add time decorator to functions you care about and some of the function which might impact the performance of your code. It's not needed for everything, but that's good, right? You can create a decorator and you don't need to just add time, start, stop, and each and every function. You can just create a decorator. And even if the decorator is there in all the functions, at some point of time, we do not want it to check the time. We can do the same with global variables also. Here get time is true, and if the get time is true, then only calculate the time. So right now get time is true, and this is my decorator, and if I am calling simple function, it will print it. What if I change it to false? Okay, in the time decorator itself, the simple function will not print it because this is false. Okay, that is also a good way of using it. Now, in one function, you can add multiple decorators. Let me create another decorator called welcome decorator, and in this particular decorator, I'm just printing welcome to the functionality, any functionality. Okay, and now in here, what I am doing is that in this simple function, I am using two decorators. First welcome decorator, then time decorator, and if I go ahead and call simple function, you can see that both welcome decorator and time decorator is called. Time decorator is not called because this is false. I need to make it true. And welcome decorator, and let me do this again. It is printing time also. Now the decorator will be called in the order it is being placed on top of your function. So right now welcome decorator will be called first. So if we go ahead and change this in such a way where time decorator is there before welcome decorator, so time decorator will be called. Now you might be thinking that, well, I have used time decorator, why welcome decorator is called again? No, that's not the case. It is sleeping in the wrapper function. That's why it looks like. So if you go ahead and change something over here, like, in the time decorator, if I just print it like, time decorator, and let me come here and this, you can see that time decorator gets called first. Okay, so it is in sequence. Okay, now we talked about taking care of how much time it takes using a global variable, and we all know that using global variables are not good. What is the other way? Well, there is a way, and I have come up with this way, and I do believe that this is something you can try it out. So basically what I did is that in the simple function I am taking a named parameter called log time, which is by default false. Okay, and in my decorator function I am checking if log time is there in keyword argument because it is a named argument, and if the value is true, then check the time taken, otherwise just don't do anything. So right now in the time decorator log time is false, and if I go ahead and say log time is equal to true, it is going to call the decorator, and if I call it with log time as false, it is not going to print anything. I think this is better way of handling types of logging. You can create by default some named parameters, and you can pass at the runtime what kind of logging you want for that particular function. Okay, so that's all about Python decorators. I do hope and believe that you have learned something new in this video. Thank you all. Thanks for watching. We will definitely meet again. Until the next time we meet, good day, goodbye. You take care.